like I said, I received my mission call in October 2011. I entered the MTC February of 2012 and got into the mission field in April of 2012. At that time, the Honduras San Pedro Sula mission was one mission and had not yet split. So I spent time in both the East and West missions, but once it did split, I ended up in the East. I got to serve in San Pedro Sula itself. I had two areas in there, and I served in another large city called La Ceiba. And then in the East mission, I served in two areas that were a little smaller. One area called Tela, that was just a beautiful town, and an area called Trujillo, which is about the farthest corner of the mission. So that was an interesting experience to be that far away from everybody. But I started off in San Pedro. It was actually pretty funny. My first area was Chamelecon in San Pedro Sula, and I was not aware of this because, let me back up a little bit. San Pedro Sula has a very high crime rate, and so in my first area in Chamelecon, I was not aware of the fact that it was actually one of the more dangerous areas in the mission. I had known beforehand that crime was high in Honduras, and so I just figured that was how it was. And it was interesting to me once I was out of the area. When I told people that I had been in Chamelecon, everyone was just shocked and wanted to know why I had gone in there, and I had no idea. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. But it was pretty cool. I remember one day we came out of our house, and one of the teenagers that was in one of the gangs down there walked up to us, and he came up to us and said, "Hey, brothers, if you ever have any problems with anyone, you let us know and we'll take care of it." And so I think the missionaries were very blessed. I could say the Lord was looking out for us, and I think the gang members kind of took us in as their own, and we didn't have a lot of problems because people knew that the gang members were behind us. Not to advocate that you should seek them out, but it was definitely a blessing to be able to not have to worry about that. So I started off in Chamelecon, and then I spent time in some areas in the west, down in Copan and Ocotepeque. But then I came up and I served in Tela, and then I moved on to Trujillo, and I finished my time in the Ceiba. San Pedro and the Ceiba, La Ceiba are both bigger cities. And so, like I said, the crime rate's kind of high. And, you have to be careful, but people know you're missionaries, and down in Honduras, they respect that. And so I don't think we had as many problems as other people do. The East Mission actually splits, if I remember right, the line in San Pedro is actually just kind of to the east of San Pedro, is where it splits off. And so we cover from La Lima, which is an area in San Pedro, all the way out to, technically we cover Gracias a Dios, the state way on the western edge, but at least when I was serving there, and as far as I'm aware, that area is not open. So we covered from San Pedro Sula all the way to Colón. Trujillo and Olanchito were the areas that were the farthest away. And it's very narrow, just kind of along that northern border. While I was on my mission, they dedicated the Tegucigalpa temple, which was a fantastic experience, and it has been such a blessing to the people in Honduras. I know, talking to people that I knew down there, they love having the temple in their own country. Most of there's a good mix of different kinds of ward units. I spent time, my first area and my last area were both large wards with around 200 people that would usually attend a sacrament meeting. My middle areas, we were in smaller branches of about 50 to 100 people, and one of my areas, my companion and I were the branch presidency, and there were 20 people in the branch, so it does vary widely, but the church is growing so fast down there. Talking to a number of ward members that I served with, there's a lot of branches being opened and a lot of wards splitting. It was a fantastic opportunity to work down there and be able to be a part of that work, because it is just exploding across the country. The biggest thing that I can say with missionary work down there is just work hard. Like I said, a lot of the people, you already have common ground with them, and the people are so friendly and so nice that it's very easy to find people to talk to. Like I said, the biggest thing is to be able to discern who's willing to actually accept your message as opposed to just listen to you. I had a number of investigators that were great people, and they knew the Bible extremely well, and they loved to talk with us, but we had to stop going because they wouldn't progress. They didn't want to accept things like Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. And so I think with the work down there, you have to be careful and make sure that you are finding people who are willing to accept the message of the church, and not just necessarily talk about God, because that's something that the people down there love to do, and it's very easy to fall into that.